What the plan is here as we load on into Champion Select. PSG going to be on your blue side, AHQ on the red. And opening things off with a set ban once again. Set been drawing a decent amount of bans here so far in the PCS Cup Week 4. And of course that red side Varus ban.
Does still kind of upset me we see Set taken out of the picture so often here in the PCS just because it's only a jungle and support champ, but okay, we give a lot of respect over to the crazy engages that he can really pull off. And honestly, I think Set is a champion that PSG will struggle with picking themselves because it's a champion that needs to be proactive in the first 15 minutes if it's gonna be useful later on.
We see here, we're just going to be powering through our bans as we get rid of the Volley Bear as well, coming out of PSG, Kalissa as well, and getting rid of that global presence that can be always seen from a Twisted Fate pick on the side of AHQ. Being banned out, again, that was one of Tank's opening debut champions for his first time being seen in the PCS. And then the Aphelios, thank you, a team has banned Aphelios away from Unified finally.
Yeah, and Ashe being the highest priority pick in terms of AD carry left on the board right now, they're saying, look, we don't want Ezreal Karma. You can chance Ezreal Karma if you want. We're just going to play it safe, have that reliable engage, that reliable teamfight tool later on. And honestly, I'm happy with it. I need to see a Karma here for Kongyue to just lock it in for Ysera or Uniboy. But you could take a jungler if you really wanted to. Trundle, Graves, it's all good stuff.
Yeah, instead opting to get a little bit of priority for that jungle pickup for Kongyue, which back in spring, and like we've mentioned now, especially here in summer, the jungle having to facilitate a lot of the gold advantages from other lanes and transfer them over. But do we get to see aggressive River paired alongside something like an Ashe to try and set up plays down toward that bot lane? May be the case here, as it did make its way through the bans, and it's going to get locked in.
Okay, so if you're PSG here, you either take Galio, or you take a support. Then you ban the Karma on next rotation if AHQ don't take it third, and AHQ just take Orianna and then ban 2 mid laners if the Syndra isn't locked in. Syndra is locked in though, so kind of tragic. Still could go for the Orianna, but nah.
With that, Syndra getting locked in, Tank going to be more or less on a carry this time around, not having to go on Galio duty. I'm shocked we haven't seen as much Galio, but I'll be frank, we haven't seen a whole lot of dives coming out from a lot of these squads. Again, down toward the bot lane. A lot of teams so far when it comes to week 4, playing a little bit more passively. But let's take a look here. Uniboy is going to have the Lissandra, so there will be options for AHQ to go for that playstyle.
Yeah, so I did want to see the Karma, but it makes sense because a lot of teams do just lock mid laner, second rotation, third pick, and then just ban out 2 mid lane bans. That's why I said Orianna is like the go-to for red side third pick, but yeah, that's why they had to take Lissandra here, because otherwise if you take Karma, suddenly Lissandra's banned, suddenly LeBlanc or Zoe are banned, and you're really just forced into an uncomfortable position.
Seeing here now, Gangplank going to be banned out away from Hanabi. Hanabi, the current king of the top lane, you could say. Not going to have one of his signature flavor picks, as that gets banned away from him. Kaiwing not going to have access to the Leona. Actually, interesting, we already see support bans coming out, as both sides not wanting some heavy engage to come out in the form either of that Thresh or Leo.
I mean, heavy engage is the answer to these immobile mid laners, and you also have the fact that, you know, Leona just roams a level 6, drops Solar Flare and Syndra, and it's really, really tragic. As well as that, the follow-up engage to kind of back up the Ashe arrow, really scary to deal with. And I like that AHQ and PSG are both trimming out the kind of CC heavy kind of solo laners and supports, because both of these junglers are renowned for not really packing much in terms of engage potential.
Mostly acting as follow-up damage for getting that set up from either of your mid lanes if they try and lock down their target. Renekton is going to go ahead and get locked in for Leaky up in the top lane, so now Hanabi gets himself the counter pick available. Interesting that they opted to try and just lock down their top lane, and do we get to see this come out? Are we going to get the double marksman?
Oh!
There you go, Hanabi going to lock it in.
Alright, you love to see it. That one ban rate, I believe, was when a team had already picked Renekton, or, you know, indicated that they wanted to pick Renekton. It's fine. It needs to win early, but it is fine. And that's why I'm expecting Kongyue just to sit in top and ruin its life. Quinn does not have a good time when she is being held down in the early stages of the game, but that should allow the Ashe and Syndra to scale wonderfully, and Nidalee to just live in the bot side jungle if Kongyue does camp top.
And we're also seeing there, we'll see whether or not the dives are going to come on through, but What if you could just stop the dive entirely? And that seems to be the play here for Ysera as he goes ahead and locks in the Bard. We'll have that Tempered Fate to try and turn the tides possibly during some of these chaotic team fights.
So the thing about Ezreal and Renekton as kind of opposite ends of the map is that typically you'll expect the Ezreal to be the weak side here, but I think as long as you get a little bit of a lead for the Renekton or kind of hold his hand out of that Quinn matchup early, you can then focus on snowballing through the bottom lane for AHQ, because Bard smashes Tahm Kench in lane, Ezreal can be played through pretty reliably, and you have an independent mid laner who should be under no threat at all.
I'm kind of concerned here. I had my predictions. I said PSG. Every time they bring out a pocket pick, though, like a Quinn, I'm always concerned, especially when it's Hanabi. Hanabi always has that tendency of, you know what, is he going to absolutely dominate a matchup, be up like 50 CS and have a couple kills? Or, you know, are we going to just see Konyu live up in that top side jungle and then put a lot of pressure onto the bot side of PSG's map to have to perform to try and get ahead to counteract that possible continued dive up the top lane?
Yeah, we see counter picks from either side in different solo lanes. Of course, Lissandra, direct response to the Syndra. Quinn, literally only found into Renekton nowadays. Really cool to see, a lot of volatility there, and we are sure in for, well, I want to say we're in for a bloodbath, but then I said that about the previous game, and we had nothing happen for the first 10-15 minutes, and it's a PSG Talon game, so yeah, expect them to sit back, chill for a while, and then turn it on around their spikes.
Yeah, both of these teams, they've been known to take things maybe a little bit slow, but that top lane, Hanabi needs to get things rolling if he wants to try and get that advantage over the Renekton. We're going to go ahead, though, and get ourselves set and loaded on for our 5th game of the night. PSG, your spring champions, taking on AHQ. Easily a win here for AHQ. Can tie them up in the standings and keep them in the conversation to be one of the world's representatives when it comes to the PCS if they're able to make it to the grand finals and playoffs as we load on into the Rift. What happened to our camera? Did our dolly just, you know, break? That
is what I was going to ask you, and I was like, is it something we're not speaking about? Should I not mention it? It happened previous game, it happened this game. I'm used to just letting you shut me up for 30 seconds while we take a big tour of all the different angles and the big beautiful PCS logo in the sky.
Maybe, you know, maybe our dolly, maybe one of the wheels broke, and unfortunately...
It was my time to gather my thoughts, man.
Yeah, you still get to gather your thoughts, all right? All right, there's still like...
It is a PSG game. There's still like 15 minutes for me to gather my thoughts.
I was about to say, the first... Okay, outside of top lane, where I think Hanabi is going to try and push in, that's also like a Hanabi with a cleanse, by the way. That's him getting ready for the 1v1 into Leaky if he tries to decide to go for it. Interesting enough, I know something that you always hate to see, and that's a lack of cleanse in a Lissandra lane.
So the thing about this is... I did, you know, slight Moonblack on LeBlanc for not rocking it, but at the same time, I had a discussion with a couple of high elo and European Regional League mid laners and some coaches there, and they said, actually, you need to go TP into Lissandra, which, okay, I was fine to flame Moonblack because he went Ignite, but I can't flame tank here because, yeah, you need to go TP to really match her recall timings, otherwise she's going to have perma push and, you know, perma engages. As long as you're smart in this lane, and maintain your distance with the phase rush, you shouldn't really be under too much threat.
Well, that's kind of the thing here for Tank. This is now your first outing as the sole mid laner for PSG. Of course, if you guys did not hear the news, Candy decided to go back on over to Korea. It was a mutual parting for him as well as Talon, and that appears to be why Tank was picked up during the mid-season. Maybe just Candy didn't want to play anymore, wanted to take a break, and now Tank has to pick up that mantle as being the championship mid laner when it comes to the PCS, and it can be a tall order, especially for someone who's fairly new to the squad.
Definitely can, and especially when you're kind of pigeonholed into this more utility-centric playstyle, but that seems to be the name of the game for Tank so far. Of course, we hadn't seen him for a while. He played in Challengers Korea after making his LPL debut like 5 years ago. And honestly, with the TF utility focus and what else we've seen from him, I don't want to call him Candy Light, but very, very similar in that regard. So if there ever was a mid laner to slot into this team seamlessly, it would be someone of a similar caliber to Tank.
Yeah, if anything, I felt like Tank has had stronger performances versus Candy. Now, to be frank, though, he was part of the one loss, and that was, of course, I think PSG just getting taken aback by a Fiddlesticks mid pick that maybe he just wasn't practiced up against with the Azir. He couldn't really do a whole lot in his lane. He was fairly neutralized, so this time around, he gets to go on something like that Syndra, as we see River not afraid to get a little bit aggressive up here into Kongyu's Graves.
Definitely do have to consider the fact that, you know, this Quinn should have perma push top, and that should allow for River just to move up into the topside jungle, as we mentioned. Kongyu does need to gank this, does need to kind of hold down this counter matchup, but right now Leaky seems to be just fine, seeding a bit of CS, farming under tower, doing his thing.
You can already see their tank in mid, starting to run a little bit low on mana. Those nerfs coming into the queue of the Syndra. Make it pretty hard for you to continually spam that. Nonetheless, still has some corrupting pot as River has snuck his way into the top side of the map, and Kongyu says, wait a sec, is he still there? No? Alright.
Well, there was an Italy trap left, and that's all they're gonna find out about River from there. Of course, taking Dark Harvest on Italy does mean we're seeing a little bit of a scaling game coming through from PSG. Pretty intriguing Nidalee builds as of recent, by the way. I watched Alpha's game from last week again. Your River, when he popped off massively, opted for the Lich Bane as his first item. We saw, after Jungle Item, of course, we saw Rod of Ages earlier today. We see Fiends pretty often if you want to augment your team's siege comp and staying potential. Could very well see an, Ardent Sensor to put the buff and the healing onto the Ashe and Quinn this game. It's unlikely, but it's a possibility if River does want to play that supportive style.
Well, you know, speaking of these marksmen, we wanted to check in on, you know, how's Hanabi's top lane doing so far? Only up about 10 CS, and I'll be frank, that's not too bad for Leaky, considering some of the Renekton matchups we have seen against Quinn have been absolute stomps when it comes to the PCS. That's a reason why we've always been a little bit concerned when we've seen a Renekton being blind picked with Quinn still up and available, but you know, Leaky's faring so far decently well, considering Hanabi, without the Ignite either, it's rather hard for him to get a kill without having to fully commit onto Leaky.
Yeah, pretty important that Tank is getting these trades when he does, by the way. You'll note that he's down TP, but he should be able to, you know, apply a lot of pressure at level 5, and then snowball that into a quick level 6, push R, and walk away. Cool guys don't look at explosions.
River doesn't wish to look away, though, from this Raptor camp. The second time back-to-back, he's pressured in onto Kongyu, and that's always, I guess that's always a kind of good feeling if you're ever able to kind of match the aggression that a Graves will bring to the table. We just saw, you know, in the previous couple matchups that Graves can just run over your jungle if you're not careful, as River's been able to match him as far as aggression goes on this Nidalee so far.
Yeah, Uniboy now going base does mean mid-prio will be in favor of PSG for a little bit. He has his TP, though, so it should pendulum swing right back in favor of AHQ. Top lane priority, as we said, permanently in Hanabi's favor, so River should be able to use that to his advantage. And that's why we're probably going to have to look at bot as the point where things are going to be super volatile. Will we see highlight reel-worthy Bard ults? Will we see coordinated dives with Kongyu, who's playing a jungler that can't actually dive very well because it's Graves? Or will we see PSG thread the needle on an arrow rather, and go for some crazy engages down there?
We'll see now, both mid laners also now locked into their level 6, so ultimates are available and online, but with both teleports down, may not see too much action unless Uniboy wants to just try and get some early vision down to keep track of where River is, as first dragon of the game is going to be Mountain, as AHQ may be starting to look to set up that, as Konyu's going to finish clearing out his topside jungle.
Definitely do have to take a look at how both of these junglers are doing right now. River at level 6, yeah, pretty evident that the Nidalee is going to be doing slightly better. I believe in terms of clear speed, for every 5 camps that Nidalee clears, expect Graves to clear 4. It's a slight difference and a less dramatic difference than most other junglers get relative to these two champs, but it's still significant enough that, you know, you now have a level discrepancy between the two of them.
And with that, Scuttle is going to get secured here by River, as Kongyu decides to just let that one go, as well as getting that point into kit for the Nidalee on the ult on level 6. Levels up the Cougar form. So,
Haha, I taught you that last week.
You did. I was still under the impression form-changing champions, they don't get a whole lot. Apparently they do when it comes to Italy. You learn small things even when you've been casting League for 5, 6 years overall. All right.
I learned that from AD Nidalee in season 2. Actually, fun fact: the guy that piloted that top lane with Chalice of Harmony Rush against Yorick was Stanley, top laner of the Taipei Assassins, who are now Taipei J Team.
Oh, see, everything comes back.
They won Worlds.
Everything comes back. Let's take a look here, though. First dragon of the game. We'll see whether or not there's going to be a contest. It's going to get instantly stunned up by the Ashe. Flash over the side of the wall. Kaiwing does the same as Ysera. Looking to hunt for a play. Leaky with that teleport, like we mentioned, joins in on the fray. That's going to be first blood going on over to Wako.
Yeah, TP for the full disengage from PSG in response. Kind of clumsy from AHQ. Should have just said, okay, we have no setup here. Just give up this Drake, because, we have no Bard ult. He's not 6 yet. Lissandra in no position to actually engage this. And by the time they've already committed to DP, they have to try and get whatever they can, which turns out to be first blood on Kaiwing, but they lose Plate's top. They lose a lot for it, as well as the Drake to boot. And suddenly this game is not looking too hot for an AHQ that we pegged as being, just that little bit more proactive in the first 12 to 15 minutes of the game.
Well, that was kind of the thing. At least they had this teleport advantage when the fact that Hanabi ended up taking cleanse to be rather very safe in this lane in case Leaky decided to ever get aggressive. And fortunately, only getting the 1 kill. Maybe you wanted a little bit more. We're still waiting to see whether or not Hanabi's actually going to take control of this lane, because though he's been able to farm alone during that teleport, he only got 1 turret plate, and he hasn't been able to pressure in Leaky all that much, as Leaky's, sitting 20 CS down in a matchup that could be a lot worse.
So, I do actually want to talk about not only the top lane, because, it's an awful matchup for the Renekton, and just kind of going even or slightly behind in this lane is winning lane, like you would in a Jace lane. But I want to look at bot, because itemization-wise, Bilgewater and 2 daggers, no tier 2 boots, means that you're not fishing for hard engages from Unified, you're not fishing for follow-up, probably because AHQ's bot lane has a lot of disengage, but also, you're not fishing for the extra move speed to rotate around the map. That's why we won't see these teams move up for Herald. Instead, you'll probably just see Bard alone go for a bit of a magical journey, go for a bit of a wander, and maybe we'll see AHQ actually have the onus on a Herald play, even if topside prio is never in their favor.
We saw Hanabi, maybe gotta be a little bit careful, but it is going to be Rift Herald started as Tank has to use his flash. Uniboy ends up not popping his ult because, like you mentioned, Bard going for a bit of a journey toward mid lane. And there you go, Rift Herald's going to be started up by Kaguya.
And I read all of that from the Ashe items alone. Who's going to walk up anyway? Why are they doing this? I don't know. It's a big fight.
Oh, that's 4 members. Also getting the flash engage coming out from Uniboy. Hanabi underneath his tower. You can see 4 members. There's finally the kill coming through. Goes on to Ysera. Leaky almost getting taken down. That's 4 members of HQ for that 1 twin.
Yeah, Hanabi frame perfect cleanse on the Lissandra route. Didn't actually need to cleanse the ult because Uniboy had no mana after full committing the combo there with this proto belt build, meaning Lissandra is kind of on the back foot in terms of mana. And yeah, it looked promising. Oh, the cleanse was actually on the empowered Renekton stun because he knew everyone was coming up and had to get as much space as possible. Almost makes it out because Graves can't auto you through the tower. It was really close. Lissandra was Graves couldn't auto, Renekton's melee. Bard dunks in the end though. Ysera comes up huge, finds the kill, finds some pressure, and AHQ actually don't manage to secure the Herald, so Hanabi sacrificing himself for the good of the team. Where have we seen this one before?
It doesn't shock me that this is the case, but it does now mean that, unfortunately, this Quinn isn't necessarily getting all that far ahead, considering now she's just been shut down when it comes to the pressure that Hanabi was able to exert early on. He's still pushing in like a madman, don't get me wrong. It is Hanabi. He will push until the end of his life, as it were. As now not necessarily dominating the matchup, so we'll still have to see when this Quinn is going to really pay off on the side of PSG, as bot lane's going to get some prio, allows them to get some pressure and vision down into the river ahead of the next dragon spawn.
So the issue with the Quinn is that not only has it just died, and yeah, the 20 CS lead is nice, and the perma pressure top is nice, but you're not really doing anything with it because this Herald is still not dead. The issue with the Quinn is that later on she's going to want to split push. And the thing about split pushing against Bard is that he rotates really, really, really quickly. Not only that, AHQ 3 TPs for more rotations, more answers, and ample hard engage between the Bard and Lissandra duo does mean that if Hanabi's chilling in a side lane with no TP, the rest of PSG could just get, you know, fully engaged on, regardless of the fact that Tahm Kench and Syndra and even Ashe have a solid amount of disengage between them.
And the other thing, too, is if Hanabi wants to split push, he has to be split pushing on usually the near side lane that's near to the next objective the team wants to fight against, because you don't have teleport. You're running Cleanse up in this matchup because you wanted to be extremely safe in lane, but you give up all the pressure that he could have gave, other than, you know, he does have, of course, his ultimate to try and roam out, but if he's on the other side of the map, it is going to take him, you know, a little bit to get over in time.
You know, Opal, one day we will see my solo queue Ashe dreams come true, where you just recall and shoot the arrow down mid, walk back to lane.
That's all.
No one has done it so far, but it seems it seems like a logical play.
You know, you want to have it for this upcoming dragon fight, is that's going to be a nice hard art coming out from Ysera. Not able to actually get the stun as Kaiwing able to spit back his jungle. There comes the shield out from the side of PSG. Another ultimate being used, a lot used to try and take down Kaiwing. Can they take down River as River tries to turn it back, goes into stopwatch. He'll get taken on down, unified over toward the side. Tank able to get the stun, but not actually going to get the kill himself. And unfortunately for PSG, not able to match the firepower that is out and available for AHQ.
Yeah, highlight reel worthy Bard ultimate there, but a missed Q. Ysera with the near perfect setup for himself makes the mechanical misplay. AHQ, it isn't as clean as it could have been, nor as it should have been, but they do manage to pick up the fight anyway, largely because this Bard had such a good engage. This should always be a stun. Too early before the untargetability had actually worn out.
Taking a look back there, unfortunately too, Tank just isn't able to connect with any of his abilities when they're all grouped up there. Unified, he does make his way over, and they're almost able to trade back the kill onto Kongyu, but Tank just can't finish it off, and there's nothing really being answered back here by PSG, as Leaky didn't even have to use his teleport for that fight. Hanabi isn't able to push in the top wave all that much, and plates have now actually gone down. He's only gone one play in this top lane.
Can't believe this Ashe saved ult for that instead of just shooting it down mid.
You're still on this mid arrow. I love it.
Well, actually, tank level 11 doesn't quite have his Ludens. Actually, being in a pretty bad place in terms of items right now. I assume he'll have Ludens this base. Okay, GLP, absolutely fine. It's a choice. Less burst, but again, more reliable hits with the E, with the Q, with every skill shot available, and it does mean that this slippery, hard to lock down Ezreal is significantly easy to get on top of.
And with that, River is also able to claim the Rift Herald in PSG's favor, as it was not taken earlier by AHQ, and that's actually a rather late first Rift Herald. Usually we have those earlier on in the game. But look at this, pressure coming out from Hanabi, finally going to pay off here as Leaky says, all right, well, guess what? He can finally take this tower. No turret plates will go over to him at least, but does mean this Quinn is starting to come a little bit more online.
Yeah, not only pressure from Hanabi, but pressure from the entire Talon lineup, bar that Syndra that went bot. And actually, HQ, they responded with some aggression towards the bottom lane of their own. Nothing they could really have done there to stop PSG from actually just claiming the top side of the map for themselves. And a decent vision setup right now isn't actually too useful when you've taken tier 1 top, and there's no Baron on the board. Because, yeah, they're 1-3-1ing, but it's... yeah, they're not going to get much for it.
Nothing really, and considering the fact that AHQ are even in a matchup that I think PSG are the ones that are supposed to get the lead earlier on in this game, I think it's not half bad right now for AHQ. They've been able to slow down PSG. River has yet to actually strike on the map as Arrow goes out, ends up missing wide. Kaiwing just making an appearance by Raptor saying, hey, what's up, Kongyu? How you doing? As Richard is going to use mid.
Yeah, so it looks like we're going to see this cracked open. You'll see a couple of picks come through from the Ash Arrow, from the Nidalee Spears, from the Fog of War, from the Syndra QE as well. Once you have more of the map to work with, and once you can actually force AHQ to face check into you. As well as that, by the way, we didn't actually mention much on this, but Bard, very good at moving around the map with E. Tahm Kench, very good at moving around the map with R. So any amount of kind of leeway you give to either of these supports is a new avenue into these fights for either of these teams.
With that, PSG, let's see what they're able to do now. You've cracked open 2 towers. You got yourselves a dragon spawning back up in about a minute 30. Unfortunately, is only a Cloud Soul too. It's not as the impactful as you'd say of a Mountain or an Ocean Soul, so for either team, actually, the lack of exact priority.
Oh no,
that is tragic. That's not a feels good if you're River right now.
Nah. Something I do want to touch on, by the way, like not only state of the game but composition-wise, because as I mentioned, you have PSG playing for their 1-3-1, playing for that later kind of split push style, and yeah, it's cool. It's also insanely difficult to execute when behind. And if AHQ continue to get ahead in this kind of brute force, steamroll 5v5 kind of composition, yes, they have the ease of execution, but as well as that, they also just have really, really smooth sailing. Once you lock down a single target, burst them down, nuke them down, whether that's Kaiwing on the Tahm Kench, or whether that's any of the other much squishier members of this PSG lineup.
And it kind of bodes here for PSG. The last 2 times we've seen this team kind of lose has been, you know, off these kind of a little bit more unique drafts, I could say. It feels like at the moment they try and do something a little bit more creative, which of course you can do. They are still a championship-worthy team, and they might be just looking to experiment so far here during the summer split and ahead of playoffs where they feel comfortable they'll make it no matter what, as it's the top 8 teams that qualify. But you don't want to be giving up a lot of your secret top niche picks if they're, are supposed to work, as there you go. That's going to be the second dragon taken here by AHQ.
So, PSG traded full control of the bottom half and mid of the map in exchange for 2 wards in the enemy top jungle.
Yeah, I feel like PSG aren't really taking these trades all that seriously, because HQ just walked in and took the dragon. Easy.
No dive, no kill on the top laner. Nothing PSG really could have got from that. So, yeah, AHQ, they take full advantage of the fact that our championship roster, as you mentioned, uncharacteristically clumsy so far.
Well, that too. You saw Hanabi. He was trying to roam, possibly, and try and make something happen. Of course, he does have that ultimate, so he's pretty speedy himself. They're not able to find any kills. It's still there's been no kills from PSG in the first 20 minutes of this game. When you're rocking a Nidalee, an Ashe, and a Syndra, I feel like there should have been at least a kill somewhere on the map during a team fight, but it's just been quiet for them.
Speaking of that Nidalee, by the way, I mentioned you have the option to go Athenes for the siege, Roa for tankiness, Lichbane if you're massively ahead, which he is of course not. Instead, gonna opt for a different route towards that tankiness, the Hourglass, and I'm not a huge fan of this at all.
You get the invulnerability. It just kind of screams, though, that you're probably not going to be finishing off kills. Instead, you're going to be kind of waiting to get out of stasis, and then someone's going to blow you up in the very end. So we'll have to see. Unified, though, has picked up his Runaan's, and there you go. Engage comes out. Beautiful from Ysera. Leaky's also there, but there you go. Devour gets him back to safety. The turnaround, possibly from Unified, but instantly, Leaky gets the cleanse out from Ysera, who's rocking the Crucible. And there we go. No play is going to be made out of it on the turnaround from PSG.
That was actually fairly cool from AHQ, by the way, because they made sure to CC the Ashe and then layer the smoke screen on top so that the Tahm Kench wouldn't be able to see the Ashe if he went in to go get her. But yeah, you saw Kaiwing just stand on top of Unified, so it didn't actually work out in the end, but it was still cool.
Cool. Neat play. At least PSG are not going to lose out as, okay, Hanabi's starting to become a bit of an annoyance, I think, on the side of AHQ. They keep kind of saying, all right, Hanabi's got himself a Phantom Dancer. He's got himself a Bork. I'm a Renekton. I can't really do a whole lot, especially if he has Cleanse. Looks like it's going to be a trade, though, from AHQ as they decide to push in the top lane instead.
You just kind of left Renekton by himself. Not having a fun game, Leaky, this time around, but hey, sometimes it do be like that. And now we're looking at AHQ, 4-0 on the board. It's nice, but at the same time, it's been this game state for quite some time, and suddenly Talon have more towers. Suddenly PSG are looking to, get some pressure around the Baron. I feel like AHQ could have done more with what they had, and it looks like we're just gonna, get to a 30, 35, 40 minute coin flip team fight kind of phase again, which is frustrating when it's between two of the top teams in the region.
It does kind of seem that way.
Bard?
Ysera's
Okay.
Observers were damn sure he was going to try and do something, all right?
Nice skin. Observing the green astronaut Bard.
Ooh. Going to outer space himself.
Yeah.
Because watching space, no one can hear anything. And to be honest, nothing has really happened here on the Rift for the last bit. It's been kind of just a back and forth. Hey, I'll farm your wave, I'll farm your wave, and all right, we'll see you again on the next objective, which is up in 1 minute, but it is only a Cloud Drake. So I guess the extra move speed is pretty nice for both squad, but it isn't like you're going to be wanting to, risk the game over this soul.
I mean, it's not that bad, actually, just because Ashe and Syndra would benefit massively from it, and so would Lissandra plus Bard. So I do, understand if these teams do have a little bit of priority on it. And also, keep in mind, double AD carry comp kills Baron instantly, like insanely quickly. So maybe PSG gave the last Drake for free to AHQ to say, look, we're going to bait you into prioritizing Drake from now on. So as soon as you show bot near the Dragon Pit, we're just going to start up the Baron.
Issue is here, though, this push is coming out from AHQ, and if you lose out on this first tier mid lane tower, you lose a lot of that natural priority that is there for yourself on the map, and then AHQ, like they already are, can look to just push in the ward line and then really try and suffocate PSG out of their own jungle.
I like Woad Scout Quinn. Try and say that fast, wow, because I believe Valor is an owl in this skin, that's why you keep hearing the hoots.
The who? The hoots?
Yes.
Did they actually add owl hoots? HQ,
I believe
though.
so.
They're going to be hooting themselves as, there you go, third dragon. Now going to be in their back pocket. PSG. Now the question is, was it the biggest brain play of all time? Have they pretty much said, all right, we have you in the exact position we want you to be in? Or are they just going to let HQ take it and they don't take Baron? Because this is like the least proactive PSG we have seen in a long time.
Yeah, I attribute a slow early game to this team, but 15 minutes is usually the sweet spot for some aggression.
There we go. Counter engage comes back out from the Tempered Fate. They're going to lock down Tank. He does get saved, though, by Kaiwing. Teleport here by Leaky. Hanabi was already kind of waiting in the river. He's already channeling his back. He's like, yeah, I ain't doing anything. I'm a Quinn. As, there you go. Both teams just back off. It's become an ARAM in mid lane, Briz.
You can tell that Ysera is a veteran player here for HQ because his mechanics have not been stellar this game. The Bard Q's going wide after the hits on the ultimate, kind of tragic. And usually Rakan is the support that, supports with no mechanics really struggle to play. Looks like Bard can be added to that list. And
he's had some good Tempered Fates. Well, let's not tell him short on the Tempered Fate. The Tempered Fates have been hitting.
The Qs have been atrocious, though, is the issue. And if you're a one-button champ, I don't know if the AoE Zhonya's Hourglass is really the button to take.
He's a two-button champ, all right? R into Q, all right? Let's not sell him short, all right?
He misses the Q.
I'll be frank, usually the ultimate's a little bit more impactful than the Q. Okay, I say that, like, with an asterisk. Depends on the situation. As, Unify's just going to get back on his horse and go back into mid lane and farm, isn't he?
Probably. By the way,
we have like mentioned this region has been, it's been looking good. They've been looking proactive in the early game as of late for the PCS. We were kind of having concerns, especially heading into MSS. Would this region be able to keep up with some of the faster paced regions like the VCS, like possibly the LPL when they meet at Worlds, even LEC? Honestly, this is looking a lot more like an LCS game that I've been watching for the last 2 weeks. I'm not going to lie, Briz.
Yeah, it's that 40, 45 minute teamfight coin flip that is really upsetting. Death Stance completed for Wako should mean that AHQ will be a little less hesitant to pull the trigger on some things, hopefully. And now, yeah, with the Azrael pretty much immune to being full comboed by the Syndra, granted Tank's build kind of makes it so that he can't one-shot anyone anyway. It's, you know, just, it's a little bit of safety. And AHQ, I like this.
All right. Let's see.
Hawk shot unified. Hawk
there you
shot.
go. They see it happening. Now the question is, do they get there in time? River's over the side toward the wall. You also have Uniboy looking to collapse. It looks like PSG. All right. Kaiwing. I think Kaiwing just fat-fingered his stopwatch. He did.
That's how we do it. Yeah.
I think he meant to Knight's Vow someone and said he stopwatch. Oh, that's tragic.
Or place a ward. Yeah, probably place a... It's not near any active item.
Well, no, his that would have been on 3, so his trinket would usually be on 4 unless he changes it. So he tried to sweep, but his sweeper wasn't even up. Oh, that's tragic.
I changed it so my trinket is on 1, I think, because my keyboard doesn't have the thing to the left of the 1 that I used to have it on.
Oh, the tilde?
Yeah.
See, for me, I like to play risky. I put it on T, because then half the time I'll fat finger my ultimate. And then people will be like, why did you use your ultimate? I tried to use my trinket, I'm sorry.
T is my emote and laugh key at the same time.
Ah. Well.
That was Season 1 special, was that you'd play Singed and bind laugh to T and then just spam that in lane while running around.
All right. So now here we go.
I forgot Singed existed until earlier today, by the way.
Oh, it's been a while since we've seen, you know, the Mad Chemist on the Rift. As Hanabi doing the zoomies, he's like, all right, my job in bot lane is done. I will see you in another couple minutes as I head to the top lane. He does actually finish off his Infinity Edge, which he's good.
Yeah, full side lane management from this Quinn so far. You know,
he's farming up a storm.
Pick up some farm, roam around. Hey, they're being proactive at an objective. Let's stop them, and then do nothing else after pressuring them off.
I like how AHQ are already setting up for a dragon that's not going to come up for 30 seconds. Like, PSG have shown they are not contesting any of these. I'll be frank, I'm not a fan of this PSG style. This is not my PSG that I was hoping for today.
Wow. Not my champion of the region.
Right.
Honestly, granted, I was just trying to like defend Tank's performance so far, but he's also done literally nothing so far.
He also went Morello's for first item or second item instead of going like the Ludens. I guess it still has like the damage, but
he has no damage. He has literally no damage.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It stops Lissandra healing, Bard healing slightly, and Ezreal Death Stance healing, and Renekton Q sustain, but it's not insane. And also, by the way, yeah. Okay, AHQ just take this, and they start up the Baron. See? This is what we said. You trade the Drake for the Baron. Bam.
Let's go. They just burn this down. Kongyu's going to be nowhere close. It's going to be up to AHQ to try and seal this without their jungle available. There comes the Bard ultimate. Able to delay it just a little bit longer. Kongyu into the pit. No, that's going to be Uniboy flashing on forward. Gets stunned up. River still on the Baron. He gets off the Baron. Baron will reset. Now Leaky into the back line. Baron's at 1,600 health. Kongyu just walks in. He sails the Baron away from PSG, who just throw it out the damn window. And they can't even pick up any kills on the return. Only Leaky will fall.
PSG, give up the Cloud Soul to take the Baron. Don't take the Baron. Ysera, again, it doesn't matter that he can't hit Q for anything this game as long as he keeps the clutch Tempered Fates coming. Lands that, lands what he needs to, sets up the rest of the team to buy time for Kongyue to come, and PSG, okay, I understand if you make a call to peel off the Baron, but you don't do it at 1.2k health.
No, you got to commit. River can one-shot that if he wants, but instead he has to back off, and this is not a good game from PSG, I think is the best way to put it. This is a disaster of performance.
Oh, man. And I was doing my VOD reviews with my European Regional League coach friends, and I was like, my region is so good, so good. Look at these teams. These are our top teams. PSG, and I believe it was the HKA game I showed. And then they were like, so, is your region better than NA? And I was like, maybe? We don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not promising, honestly.
Okay, so I'll be frank. Like, I do give the benefit. I think C9 is still a pretty strong contender up against Region. I think we could beat anything else but C9. C9 would be close.
Yeah, I think so too.
But if Talon is going to play, or PSG is going to play like this, and AHQ, I'm not even going to let AHQ get off this, because this has been the most inactive game from both sides. At least AHQ have just kind of taken dragons because they can. But now, real question is, you got a Baron buff for the next 2 minutes, or are you even going to be able to get a second tier tower?
Like, macro question marks aside, we've seen Nidalee Spears go wide on teleporting in targets because he's mistimed it and thrown it too early. We've seen Bard Qs missing off of his own ult procs. We've seen so many random misplays on either side, but it seems like AHQ are the ones that are going to thrive in the chaos. Split push Graves, because why not? Ash Arrow just went wide on the minimap to boot. Everything PSG is trying to do isn't getting them anything. They're losing more than they're gaining by opting into this playstyle.
All right, Hanabi, you got to start being a big threat here. You got to actually force Leaky to have to either back off or do something. He got himself a second tier tower, awesome. Except now Leaky's just oh no, he's going to get collapsed upon. He's got nowhere to run. Okay, he was able to get the ultimate, but now he's going to go on an adventure through the rest of the map. There goes the ultimate from the Tempered Fate. Koyu's going to show himself over toward the other side. Hanabi, can he actually burst him down? No, it ain't going to happen. He gets shut down, and boom, any pressure you had if you were a PSG fan, absolutely out the window, because now this Quinn is just going to get killed.
Yeah, Graves dishing out a decent chunk of damage at this stage of the game does mean that, you know, Hanabi, despite the active from the Blade, despite the passive from the Phantom Dancer, just taken down by this Graves, and the side lane threat is now dissipated. It means that AHQ, free to push, free to continue to apply the pressure, without having to worry about the mild inconvenience that is this Quinn continually on a side lane mission this game.
And you know what? I know the social team for PSG, they like to take some of our clips out of context. I'm just going to say this right now. Please don't play this comp ever again. Or this style again, because it is so inactive. It goes against what PSG is good at, what they were excelling at during spring playoffs.
I mean, it looked like a very standard PSG comp. It's just that with all that top pressure that they had, they did nothing with it.
Yeah.
Tank was kind of invisible. You expected him to come online at that level 11 spike that we could like to, you know, attribute to every Syndra, because strongest point in the game for her. Unified with the Ashe, throw out an arrow every time. There doesn't need to be a Drake up for you to opt into a fight. It feels like PSG, they opt into a style that means they're only actively seeking fights or picks when there's an objective up to take, but the issue with objectives spawning every 5 minutes is that if you wait that long, ultimates are going to be back up, flashes are going to be back up on the enemy team, and suddenly your engage is awful.
Now, I'm also not going to let HQ kind of slip on this one too, all right? They've had tools to actually be equally as proactive. Go for dives. You have a Bard. You have a Lissandra. You also have a Renekton. You have tools to just try and jump in onto the members of PSG. And the fact they've only gotten 5 kills in 35 minutes, it's a kill every 5 minutes coming out of AHQ. I would have liked to see a lot more, given the fact that PSG are kind of just sitting on their hands and waiting for this game to go over.
I think you mean a kill every 7 minutes, but yes.
Yeah, 7. My math isn't good.
There we go! Rotation!
Jump in onto Unify. Oh, there you go. 3-man ultimate coming out from the Bard. River gets just destroyed. Will he take down? There comes the redemption. Koyu over toward the side. Jumps on in. The stopwatch is there from the Zonias, but there you go, PSG.
Yeah!
What is your composition? It does not exist. It's a triple kill for Kanye. And like that, it's the ace for HQ. Teleports into the mid lane.
One huge Graves play to win it all. Collapse comes through from the jungler of AHQ. He finds the flank, and the catalyst to that entire fight was the Tempered Fate yet again. Ysera says, Qs be damned, I am hitting every single R that I need to, and we are TPing it down the mid lane here.
And I said, all AHQ needed to do was to find themselves an engage. They had the tools, and boom, bada bing, that was the play. And AHQ, they'll be able to take down the spring champions, force them to go 6-2, and tie them in the standings.
And as it turns out, it is PSG's one proactive play that blows up in their face. That is game for AHQ off of an engage that PSG opted into.
And there you go.
Oh, man.
That was a game of League of Legends. That Oh, that was a rough game of League of Legends.
For the last 2 minutes of the 35-minute slugfest, it was indeed a game of League of Legends.
Exactly. The other 33 minutes, it was Farming Simulator, Dragon Tamer, How to Train Your Dragon, featuring AHQ, and then PSG are just like, all right, Hanabi, you gonna do anything? Cool.
You know, I even wore my Hanabi shirt. And
yeah, you did. You have the fireworks shirt. Yeah. You're kind of a biased caster right now, and they disappoint.
Look what it got them. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is worse than when HKA lost to Alpha, making me think that Alpha were a decent team and that HKA wouldn't be Talon, PSG Talon rather. And yeah, my power rankings are doomed. My predictions are doomed. PSG maybe doomed. Who knows?
Possibly doomed.
AHQ back on the board. That is what we take away from this.
Even then, I have it with like an asterisk. I'm like, back on the board when the opposing team does nothing for 35 minutes.
I like how you just randomly hear the Quinn, like the Valor screech every now and again. And that's my favorite part about this champ. Honestly, no redeeming factor for the Quinn this game. Consistent side lane threat, yes, but when the rest of your team is doing nothing with it, may as well be a 4v5. I don't think that's Hanabi's fault, but yeah, this was a really, really dumb call where they hard commit for the Barons and look, give them Cloud Soul. By the way, Cloud Rift, amazing for Quinn. You get more Scryers to, you know, sweep out vision for your side lane push. You get more speed to rotate. It all should have been in favor of PSG.
I don't think I've ever heard you this frustrated.
Look at this 5k damage Renekton and tell me that PSG shouldn't have won this game.
I'll be frank, yeah, what are these damage charts? This is actually insane for a 36
No damage. No one did any damage this game.
No one did anything! How is your Syndra almost out damaged, like, Yeah. That was just... I'm sorry. PSG, you're looking like NA right now, because that was a slow game. AHQ, you're not safe either. I'm going to be frank here. I don't think either team should have won. I would rather...
Okay, but Liab beat AHQ, AHQ beat PSG. What do you take away from this?
Liab is the best team in the league. Mind blown. MVP, you hated his Qs, Abriz, but his ults were on target. 100% kill participation. It's going to be Sarah on the board for MVP of AHQ.
Yeah, he was insanely clean with his rotations. His ults were really nice, and yeah, as you said, his Qs could have used a little bit more work, but also consider that he had a fair few bans, you know, sent his way in the support role back in Champ Select, so I really do think that Ysera played that phenomenally, and it looks like our MVP voters do agree with that.
There you go. MVP going on over to Ysera. He'll be pretty happy. Another support picking up MVP. Why not? Frank, no one else did anything on the map, to be honest. Let's just be frank right now. Mid lane, that was a snooze fest of a mid lane, which you have a Syndra, you have like a literal go button in the form of level 11, and you're like first item, but then you went GLP into Morello. You didn't do any damage, and it showed that on the chart. That Syndra barely did over 8,000 damage in like a 40-minute game. I'm actually blown away by this.
And the thing about that spike for Syndra is not only is the ult stronger at level 11, not only do you have that first item spike, but first item means the enemy carries don't have their defensive utility yet. It means you can just 100 to 0 them. Instead, you saw Tank just farm, and by the time he did choose to join these fights, Ezreal had Death's Dance. I think Lissandra had Merc Treads, plus a lot of health from her build just naturally between the Proto Belt and whatever else. Yeah, just really not the game PSG were promising us.
Well, let's go ahead and take an interview with Leaky from the top lane of AHQ alongside Patty.
So, Uniboy's picked Lissandra today, and he's been picking some very unique champions these past 2 weeks. So why did he choose Lissandra today?
因为我们有预想到对面会选奈德利，所以我们觉得冰女可以有效限制奈德利的发挥。
So we predicted that our opponent will choose Natalie for jungle, and Lissandra is actually good with limiting Natalie's growth, so that's why we picked Lissandra in the mid lane.
好的，那紧接着想问 AHQ 在首轮是直接 ban 掉了亚菲利欧，那为什么会在首轮就直接 ban 掉 Wako 这么喜欢玩的角色？
So you guys banned off Wako's commonly used champion Aphelios in your first round of ban pick. Why did you guys ban it off yourself?
主要的原因我是觉得，就是因为我们看对面 AD 选那支也选的挺多的，然后胜率也很高，所以就 ban 掉了。
So we banned it off because we know that Unified use that champion a lot, Aphelios. So that's why we banned it, so to prevent our opponent from using it.
OK， 那当然感谢 Licky， 也恭喜你们获得这场比赛胜利，当然也感谢翻译。哦，不过我比较想提的是 PSG 的这套阵容啊。老实来讲，虽然说这场比赛输了，但是
Oh, there you go. AHQ. Easy, clean. Why not? Good to go. I think they're just happy to get that game done and over with. I think they were like us at first. They too wondered what they were playing, because that one was a bit of a snooze fest. But you know what's the opposite of a snooze fest? It is a game between Singapore and the Philippines. We're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, it is going to be that Resurgence taking on Leah for our final game of the night.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.